during the Capitol riots. To discuss the fallout, let's bring in Texas Congressman Pat Fallon. Congressman, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thank you all. Thanks, Lyndsay. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you were one of the members of Congress who actually helped hold the door with the Capitol Police to keep rioters from coming in to the halls of Congress. We just played this clip right before you came on with Congresswoman Mikey Fallon. She says that Republican members provided recon to rioters days before. What do you make of her comments?
You know, it's interesting when a liberal makes a comment or a statement or an assertion, then they have to be it has to have weight and be taken seriously and looked into when there's no evidence whatsoever. None. And if we say anything, you know, we're held to a higher standard as conservatives. I think it's frivolous. I think it's scurrilous. I think it's libel. And it's completely untrue. And mark my words, in a few weeks or a month, there'll be no evidence whatsoever. Of course, they won't rescind because the media will stop talking about it.
So I just want to ask you this because it's interesting. Like, did you have any of your constituents from Texas come up who were here for the rally and say, hey, we'd like to say hi, or we'd like to get a picture? You know, the traditional things that constituents do?
Mm-hmm. There were a few people that reached out. We just didn't connect. Yeah. But, you know, Sean, as you're aware, there were 100,000 or more folks there, and they were peaceful. It was 500.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, the reason I'm asking, though, is that, like, look, I've worked on the Hill for, you know, too many members of Congress to recall. and people call all the time and say, I'm in town, Congressman. Could I get a picture? Can I come by your office? Can I get a quick tour of the Capitol? And your job, not to tell you what your job is to say, yes, I'm your representative. I'd love to say hi. I'd love you to come by the office. And if I can either do it myself or have a staff member, I'd love to show you the Capitol. That's what you do. And I thought it was just odd that a member of the Democratic Party says, hey, I saw Republicans around with these folks, and therefore they must be in on it. And without any evidence. I mean, again, I'm not trying to prejudge anything. I'm just saying, if you said, hey, look, and then they walked them down a private hallway, maybe that's worth. But there's nothing that I've seen in the media that would substantiate these kind of claims.
When I try to take Uncle Bob and Aunt Betty on a little tour of Statuary Hall, that doesn't mean we're trying to overthrow the greatest republic history has ever known. Now, I didn't, but I would have been very willing to take anybody. I'm looking forward to that when the Capitol opens again. But because of COVID, it's very difficult to get people in. So, again, it's baseless. There's no evidence. It's, as your old boss and our president said so long ago, fake news.
I got to ask you this because there's been a little bit of fallout from Republican members who voted against the electors. You were one of those members who voted to object to the electors last Wednesday. Do you have any regrets?
No, because, again, we were debating the finer points of the Constitution and the Electoral College, and the fact that Article 2, Section 1 clearly states that electors will be chosen by the state legislature. Yeah. So if a judge weighs in, or a county clerk, or a secretary of state, for that matter, a governor, they don't have authorization to do so. And I've been extraordinarily consistent on this because I sued my own Republican governor. I was part of it, or actually our secretary of state better stated, because they extended early voting from 2 to 3 weeks, and I didn't feel that they had the authority to do so. It was
that's what I think is so funny. I mean, take the fraud stuff aside for now, okay? I don't want to, but I think to your point, I have a question about the constitutionality of that, right? It says it clearly in the Constitution, and I think, so, you know, there's no question that that's not the process that was followed. And by following the Constitution as you interpret it, as I interpret it, and again, I'm a simple, you know, I'm reading it just in English. I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to me it says, here's how it works. That's not how it went. But by you and all these Republicans objecting to it based on a question that you have over the Constitution, these corporations and everybody saying, okay, if you objected to it, you called into question our democracy, and we're not going to give to you, we're not going to help you, and we're going to punish you. What's going on?
It's awful. But, you know, there is one silver lining in this very dark cloud, and that is that our friends on the left have come to realize, finally, that riots are bad.
Yes. And police are good. And police are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. And we protect and support the police. And Ms. Pelosi's now making us go through metal detectors, which actually makes members of Congress less safe when we go to the House floor. The state of Texas, this Texas legislature, has been doing this for 25 years. Members can be armed. They can conceal. No instances, 0 in 25 years. You're very safe there. Right. So I'd like to institute a policy where you have to maybe be drug tested on a weekly basis, or you can't get on that. Or let's use a breathalyzer. before you go onto the House floor. Hell, half the Democrats won't even be able to show up for work.
Well,
all right, are you going to introduce a bill on this?
I'll let you follow up with your colleagues on that, but I get your point. I want to ask you one quick thing before we go. Vice President Biden has announced that he is going to propose a $1.9 trillion, that's a T, trillion-dollar program to address coronavirus spending. What is your thought on that?
You know, apparently money, goods and services, they just fall from the sky. And we're just going to print money. We're going to hell, you know what, President Biden-elect Biden, why don't you just make everybody a millionaire? Send every American $1 million.
It's free.
And then, you know, a Toyota is going to cost $1.6 million. They just don't get the way the economy works. You cannot continually print money. You know what? You want to get the economy rolling? There's so much pent-up demand. Take the cuffs off. Yeah. Let's go, Democratic governors. Let's let the greatest economy history's ever known. Unleash that tiger. Unleash this bald eagle, and we'll crush it.
Yeah. We'll have to.
You know who the benefit is, by the way? Just so we're clear, because this is what no one wants to talk about. Who benefits when we take out more debt, Congressman?
Well, the banks and the people that own T-bills.
Yeah, and you know who owns a lot of those?
China.
Yeah.
China.
Yeah. Well, we're playing in this divisiveness that we have in this country right now is playing right into the hands of China, North Korea, Iran, Russia. They want this. And I was disgusted by my colleague, Congresswoman Presley's comment about calling anybody that disagrees with her a white nationalist. I mean, that is just debasing. That's going to like the nuclear option right away when it's supposed to be e pluribus unum. There's supposed to be lots of nonpartisan things or bipartisan things we can work on. And yet she just continuously throws acid in everybody's eyes.
Yeah. Congressman, I want to thank you for coming back again. Thank you again for your heroism on that fateful day of January 6th. The actions that you and those other Republican members took is so commendable. Thank you for that. I hope you have a great weekend. Look forward to having you back soon.
Thanks, y'all. Take care. God bless.
You bet. All right, guys, we've talked a lot about COVID hypocrisy on this show. And the story that we have coming up next, you are not going to want to miss this. Casinos are allowed to stay open in Nevada, but places of worship are not. We're going to speak to a lawyer who's taking the fight to hold lawmakers accountable, and it's a great story. You're not going to want to miss it. It's right when we come back from the break.